welcome back, Emma Willmann.
Oh, Emma, you're Emma.
Here we go. Let's get crazy.
Oh, Emma.
What's up? Welcome to another episode of Emma's Bunker. I'm your host, Emma Willmann. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. On today's episode, I'm talking to comedian, actor, podcaster, DanielWebb. Daniel was on tour with Margaret Cho right before we went into lockdown. And I forgot this when I had the conversation with him, but I remember seeing Margaret Cho at a comedy festival called Just for Laughs, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. It's this giant festival in Montreal. And I remember it was like this bar show late at night. People had kind of left and Margaret Cho comes in towards the end. And I remember being like, oh shit, it's Margaret Cho. And there's maybe like 8 people in the audience. And I swear to God, something. Then she's up on stage, she's doing her jokes, she pulls her pants down, turns around, and starts pretending to talk out of her butt. I have nothing to back this up. There were 8 other people there. Maybe I was hallucinating. I mean, I'm not, if we were in court, I'd fold real quick. If someone was like, what did you say you saw? I'd be like, I was hearsaying myself. I don't even know, but I did see that, and I do remember that now. I'm sick of, because I'm a lesbian, people assuming I drink almond milk. I'm sick of that shit. You could be a lot worse, but I'm just, for some reason, when I say I want dairy milk, I feel judged. And I don't know if it's just because people don't like people jerking off cows or whatever the process is for getting that milk. But I swear to God, people are like, oh, you drink? I would have thought you would have. I mean, Meg, maybe I got that oat milk look. It's kind of a compliment. Hot girls usually like oat milk. I've noticed, as a more masculine presenting person who likes to think of myself as a man one, which, yes, I know it's problematic, but I gotta say, yeah, that's true. You know what? I guess it's a compliment, because it happened the other day. It was with my cousin, and they were like, I can't believe you drink dairy milk. And I was like, why? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like I was like being unintellectual or something. I also was probably reading too deeply into it. But also, and it is true. You don't want someone to be like, oh, dairy milk, yeah, I would think you wouldn't have tried other things. I wouldn't necessarily want that either. But I got too much free time on my hands. This is what I'm getting at, guys. I was grateful to talk to Daniel. When I recorded this conversation, I was in Kansas City. It's when I was doing my shows in Kansas City, which already feels like 70 lifetimes ago. But I was holed up in the hotel room with food everywhere. I was a pig. There was like hummus on the walls. It was a massacre of the pantry, but there was no pantry. I was just getting food from the little shopping center. I got to put that in quotes, because there's just like crackers, tuna. I mean, I don't know what I was eating in there, but there was just shit everywhere in that hotel room, because I haven't gotten to be the beast that I need to be, because I used to be in hotel rooms regularly, and that's when I get to really. So I was back in the hotel room, and I cleaned up a sliver of it. So Zoom, I talked to Daniel, and I did 2 other interviews while I was in Kansas. I didn't want to Zoom them and then have them like call the cops or something. Not that they would. Comedians are used to it. That's one of my favorite things about doing these Zoom shows and Zoom podcasts. Like, I'm seeing inside comedians' bedrooms and living rooms. That's something I never want. And yet I find intriguing and interesting. So I get to talk to Daniel. This was fun. I asked him purely because I'm a fan of his stand-up. What a delight. It was interesting. His cadence when he's not performing stand-up is a little bit different on stage and off. Same person, obviously. That'd be a real trick if he was able to find someone to swap in with him. But he surprised me with a lot of stuff. In the middle of the interview, he opens up about being bisexual, which was something I didn't know. And because of his mannerisms, I was surprised, but also I was like, good for this guy. And he said that, people don't often believe he's bisexual. And in my head, I was like, I said, fuck those people. But in my head, I was like, I would have been one of those people if he said it at the top of the conversation. As the conversation was going on, I would, But it's just weird. Why does everyone have such a hard time understanding bisexuals? Because I support them. I don't support having a hard time understanding. You know what I support? Not understanding bisexuals. That's the campaign I'm for. I would walk for breast cancer, but fuck that. I'm gonna do a crawl in support of people who don't support or understand those fucking bisexuals. Because if there's one group of people that is out to get other people, it's those goddamn bisexual. Yes, that's a little sliver of the conversation. And for context, if you haven't had the pleasure of seeing Daniel before, I'm going to play a little clip of his stand-up, just so you get a little taste of the man, some context for his work. And I am excited to share my conversation with him, with you. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I hope you're doing well. Please rate and review the show on iTunes. There's there's not a lot of you, so just go rate and review. Get in at the ground floor. Rating and review, it just means a lot to me. And if you can't think of anything to say, just go in and write muffin. Put some pot. Who doesn't like muffin? Even like a health nut that's like, I only eat cupcakes on my birthday. They probably still would like muffins. So go in and tell me go in and tell me what kind of your favorite muffin is. I'm sure it's blueberry, because I'm just guessing, not to stereotype, but All right, guys. Thank you again. I really appreciate you. Here's a little clip of Daniel, and then my conversation.
My name's
with
Daniel.
Daniel.
Nice to meet you. I'm from Texas. Thank you. I know. Bang, bang. I know. Controversial. Oh, my God. I know. Let's see. What else about me? I'm in the closet. Let's get that out of the way. Let's see. What else about me? Oh, yeah. And I'm STD free. Thank you. I know. Thank you. Finally. Phew. Oh, my God. Never have
I'm talking
sex
to
anymore.
comedian and podcaster and actor DanielWebb. We were just talking about Daniel has luscious long locks, and if he's going to cut those locks.
I'm in good hands. I got my friend from the Valley in Texas, the RGV, lives out here, and she's very talented. So
Does she think you should cut them?
No.
I don't. The reason I don't is I feel like it's like not like a trademark, but it like, I don't know. It goes with, maybe it's just, when you meet somebody and then that's like how you picture them in your head. You know what I mean?
Totally. With people, music, food, and everything, it's like I'm in love with the first version.
Totally. Oh, and dating too.
Dating too. It's
Personally.
like it's really hard for me to shake whatever my friend. Not even first impression. It's just I always like favor the first.
Yeah, because it's another thing to fucking process when something changes. I even feel that way about stand-up comedy sometimes.
It's weird, especially now, because obviously we're all reevaluating what life means. So.
Oh boy, are we ever? Yeah, we are. It was fun reading about you because there's a lot of versions of it online, but you got to meet Obama, and that was like a big coming out thing, it's interesting reading about people and then that was just like something I never would have imagined popping up, was that picture with you, the headlines of you talking to Obama. But that was a long time ago now. Was that like 5-6 years?
It's about 6 years, I guess. It was 2014.
God.
So yeah, it's weird because my name's not associated with that story. So sometimes it'll come up, mostly in like meetings or something, where people are like, "Oh, that's you." So it's this weird little over here,
right?
Because it's, I don't know, it was obviously, as most viral things tend to be,
right?
Which
there's also, if you spell DanielWebb, I'm dyslexic, I spelled your name wrong. Have you ever Googled DanielWebb?
No, whenever I Google myself, it's like baseball players and inmates, like ex-cons.
Well, DanielWebb is a little person, and she documents her experiences being a little person on YouTube.
Oh, I should look her up.
Mm-hmm.
I did, because of at the time of the Obama thing, Austin's like a small town, and I made the cover of the newspaper, not for the coming out story, but just because like Obama was in town.
Right.
Thing. And so that picture was on the cover, but under the caption, it's like local cashier Daniel, and they said my last name was W-E-L-L. I was like, you live in a town for 17 years. I've waited on most of these people.
Right. Right.
Like at some point, my mother absolutely wrote an angry letter to the editor.
She's like, "It's Webb."
Oh yeah.
It's Webb.
Yeah. So we had to have a long talk with Mom about boundaries.
I wanted to ask what you were like as a little kid. Were you an outgoing little kid?
Outgoing. I mean, I was like,
because you started playing piano at 2, which I don't even. How could you start playing piano at 2? I didn't even know we were walking at 2.
Mainly my sister was, they put her in lessons for whatever reason. And so she's 2 years older than me. And so I just started mimicking whatever she was doing, but the story is, where she would stop and like try to figure out what was next to play. I could say it and like fill in the blank and whatever. And so I've played forever. But yeah, it's like, that's also why I like the long hair, because you can't really you're not really like a believable musician unless you can have like hair blowing in the wind. That's
true.
Like if Beyonce, Beyonce would look so hot if she just had like super short, you know what I mean? Even just like natural.
She looks totally different too.
Yeah, but there goes that like,
yeah. Yeah.
There's a reason Stevie Nicks has yet to have a chili bowl.
Yeah, if you, especially with a piano player, because then it's like you can have like a tux like unbuttoned a little bit, or like you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
When you were playing it, was that like what you were focused on as a kid, or were you doing other stuff too?
I was, as a kid, let's see, we were like little theater kids. I paint and draw, stuff like that.
Because
But
2 is so young to be like seriously playing an instrument.
it was just around. I wanted to take lessons, and then when they put me in lessons at the age of 4, I freaked out. So I was like too much or whatever. So, but yeah, my parents have always just kind of let me do stuff. So at that age, I was playing music and basically drawing a lot.
Are they more liberal or more conservative?
I think they're right in the middle. I just had this conversation with some people. Also, my windows are open, so let me know if the sounds of East Hollywood.
It's totally all good. I'm in the middle of Kansas City having an existential crisis. So
you are?
Yeah, I did shows I did some shows. It's so fucking weird. It's first shows I've done since lockdown.
Which Kansas City are you in?
Missouri, which I actually really like Kansas City a lot.
Yeah. I
like Austin, Texas too. I mean, I've only been there 2 times. I liked it. It was different than I thought it was going to be. I think I was picturing.
How so?
I think I was picturing when I was there, it was like some kind of festival. So it was like really like everyone was in the street drinking. I didn't realize it was as big of a party scene as it is.
Oh man, it is. I had to learn that lesson moving to LA because I'm actually not drinking right now, which is stunning, shocking for me.
Good for you.
But thank you. It's actually crazy because I like to drink.
I don't drink either, and I love to drink more than anything in my entire life.
Really? Yeah. The pandemic, I thought, was just an opportunity when there were no other excuses for me. It became glaringly obvious what the problem was.
That's true. Because you can't be like, I'm so stressed out. That's true.
Yeah. So, and it was also easy because I've quit smoking cigarettes. So I have the template,
Right.
But back to Austin, Texas, it is a drinking town. And I'm not bragging, but I was a drunk driver for years in Austin and got away with it. Like, not proud of it, but that was the lifestyle. And so when I moved to LA, number one, going to open mics, I was like, well, we're not drinking.
Right.
And then, you go to the Improv, I'm like, we're not having 4 beers before we go on stage.
Right.
And again, the driving thing here, I was like, fuck it, I've been rear-ended on the 101.
Right, because people are like, we have to drive, and you're like, yeah, I've been driving. Driving. Yeah,
but people here are too insane. It's like, I can't have 1 beer and then get with somebody, and then it's the whole thing is problematic. So
I drank when I was I drank, and I mean, I'm really not proud of it either. And so once you're not drinking and you look back on some of the stuff you did, you're like, it's just like, it's crazy. But to own up to it, I did. Because I would drink and drive in Maine, but I did it in LA a couple times, and I don't know what. Like, I just remember being at a stoplight, like on an edible and pretty drunk, and like I shouldn't. And then I pulled over and like took a nap, passed out in a parking lot for a little bit.
Yeah.
So when you came to LA, you weren't going around drinking?
Oh no. I'm a major, like, I love me some champagne and some beer. Like, I was going out. The one thing about here is like I was not driving. I was taking lifts and I was doing that. So I was at least cutting out the drunk driver part of it.
Which is huge, because once you bring other people into who you're hurting, that's when it's like, okay, you're being a dick.
Yeah. But then that just, since I don't have to put the brakes on, no pun intended, I would drink more. And so it was kind of exacerbating the problem because I didn't have to be accountable to get myself places. Yeah. But it was honestly, I was already getting there mentally, but working and touring with Margaret Cho, she's sober.
Oh, she is?
And not, doesn't even like proselytize, preach, nothing. Like, she brings it up in her act.
Most people that I've met that are sober really don't, because it's supposed to be like a law, or not that it's like through attraction. So it's like, just here's what I'm doing that works for me. Because if you start saying to someone, usually they'll know that if you start telling someone who has a leaning towards using something for comfort, or whatever the right way to phrase that is, that they'll get defensive.
Sure. And I'm that kind of person. Like, I'm totally that kind of person. But it was interesting to work with her because I didn't obviously want to drink on her dime or at her show or be in the green room with her and be like, while some person in recovery is 5 feet away. But that was also the first time I was doing 30 minutes 2 shows a night without at least a beer, you know what I mean? Like some kind of to take the, whatever.
Oh, totally.
But that kind of also unlocked a huge part of it. Was like, see, you've built this little world where you've been using alcohol. Like I played in bands. You drink at practice. You drink at the show. You know what I mean? You drink.
Right.
And like I say in Austin, I'm not saying people there were as bad as I was, but I would go to an open mic and rack up a $40 tab,
Totally.
But that's also because I like to have fun.
Right. And it gives you a buffer too. But it does kind of stop being fun because I don't know how old you are, but after 26, I started being like puffy all the time and like just sluggish and not.
So here's what's so funny is to me, because I've always said as a joke, and it never works on stage, but I'm like, I don't need therapy because I'm such a narcissist that I'm just so comprehensive. You know what I mean? I'm 360. So like I'm covered. And what is
wait, but I've been studying narcissism because I've had I worry about me being a narcissist, but that negates you from being a narcissist. If you start, not totally, but if you're thinking about yourself, if you're being so self-analytical, then that, like, if you're like, I'm so self-analytical, I don't need to get a therapist because I'm like processing myself so much. I'm pretty sure that there's like some clause there that then you're not like a narcissist. Don't quote me on that.
I love a loophole.
Love a loophole.
But I never lost a job because of alcohol. Like I was, and I don't know functioning where that lies. It never interfered with. I was definitely been drunk on stage a couple times, but like never fired and never broke up with someone. Those things. I've lost relatives and friends to alcohol. I mean, they've died, kind of a thing. But to me, the real kicker that like unlocked it was I was like, gosh, I'm putting a lot of sugar in my body. And so the vanity of like being in my 30s and the amount of sugar, that's what broke it. That was the thing. That
it was making me gain weight was what was the most upsetting to me for such a long time. And I was like, I have to just find a way where I can drink and not gain weight. And but the problem is then I would like, that doesn't work. And you can't do it. There's no cheat code there.
My remedy at the end, I was drinking double IPAs and someone goes, that's 2 beers. They're like doubles in the title.
Or tequila doesn't have as many calories in it. So
I tell you, I was
drinking a lot of tequila.
Tempted. So I don't know if I should say this too loud, but I have a hot neighbor.
Ooh.
And I'm this, I don't know about you, but I feel like straight guys with me a lot. I've always been told that, well, I'm not gay, but if I was, you kind of a thing, which is not.
Is that a compliment? I feel like they mean it as a compliment, of course, but it's tricky because it's like, what are you supposed to do with that information? Are you supposed to be like
exactly?
Because in a way, they're like, so it's a little bit. I mean, they're testing you a tiny bit. Maybe.
I take it as a compliment because I love walking the line anyway. Gender, sex, all of that. I like being in the nebulous. I always have. I think it's kind of a privilege of being queer. But because of that, like you said, testing. I also think they're putting the impetus on me to be like, well then, and like take it to the next level.
Right.
However, like first time sex is clunky. Who wants that? Like, I don't want to be like, here are the erogenous zones.
Totally.
Totally. So that to me was the more overwhelming. Like, I'm not into teacher kink.
I've never, that to me, if someone says that, I usually am like, oh, I just kind of play dumb. Like, I'll be like, oh, thank you so much. Like, like and sometimes someone really will mean it. Like if I were, and they're not testing you, but then sometimes maybe they are. Like, it's like a little.
Well, and I'm in my 20s, I'm still quite naive as a person, but in my 20s, it's just, I can't even, hindsight now, I'm like, I missed so many invites, opportunities, suggestions, just like all of it. I missed. I could have been.
Do you think that you're exaggerating it in your head, where you're looking back and you're like, I could have been fucking everybody?
I do, because there's like a few instances, and it's mostly with straight guys and things like that. Because so one time I lived in this like duplex for like 2 years, right, and across the street
in Austin.
in Austin. Yeah. And across the street were just these 2 hot guys. I just assumed they were married. It's a little taboo in Texas to be just like, we're out and gay and we work on our yard.
Even in Austin.
Not in Austin, but you would still maybe be like, they're roommates a little bit.
I gotcha.
Like, Austin's very liberal, but like, I don't know. You just don't, I don't know. I wasn't in the assuming category.
Totally.
So I'm moving out, right? I'm solo. I'm moving out that day, and like couches and trucks and just back of it, and it's just me. And one of the neighbors, it's like 10 o'clock at night. He comes over, and like there's a couch halfway in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought was, oh, he feels sorry for me, so he's coming to help me move after watching my dumbass like lug around all
Right.
day. But then he just assumes this like posture and like leans against the wall on my porch. And we're chatting. He's a pilot. Hello.
Nice.
So sexy. So we start talking. However, the Malaysian plane had like just disappeared like a week or two. So my dumbass immediately, I'm like, what do you think happened? And I start this. He tells me whatever his fucking theory. We're on the porch for like an hour and a half, talking. And I still am not like, come in or
Right.
I know he has a partner or someone over there.
Right.
He keeps checking his phone and finally like, well, okay, good night. And he goes back. And it wasn't until later that night I was like, oh, you dipshit. You probably could have like had a threesome that night.
He was waiting until it was you were ready to move out in case it went weird, or who knows. Like he was like, it's my last shot.
Which I'm all about. That's even
Sure.
hotter. Like that's basically out of town sex at that point.
Totally.
Which is the best.
Did he tell you what he thought happened to the Malaysian plane? Because I always wondered about that motherfucker.
He said, which was what I thought. He was like, the pilot did it. Like it has to be the pilot.
Like meant to do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too.
And then was like, I know the codes to get off the grid where they can't find me.
Yeah, he has this thing, or the pilot at home had a simulator, which is not super unusual. Pilots have that shit. But it's like in that I believe had charted out into the middle of nowhere.
Oh, that guy, man.
It's such a weird, like planes have gone off course. That happens.
But for
like,
to totally disappear.
Yeah, and no, I mean I'm into it. I'm a ghoul. I want all the forensic details.
Me too. That's why I love true crime.
I know, and like the Kobe thing, not to get like, because it's a little too soon, I realize. But the day of, right? It was a Sunday, and I was just I quit drinking, but I still smoke weed. So I was sitting in bed.
Do you still smoke it now?
I do, but it's gonna go too. It's like it's on its way because I can see that I've already shifted.
Yeah, which is so common.
I'm smoking too much, but it's also because I love the act of smoking. But yeah, it's last because I don't want to be an old person trying to find a bowl. That's so gross.
Whatever the reason is for you to want to do, you know what I'm saying? It is. And also it's a big mistake for people to try to quit everything at once. That's like a big, because then you're like, I'm quitting cigarettes, I'm quitting sugar, I'm quitting this, I'm quitting sex, and I'm going to join a cult or whatever. Right. And then you can't keep it up.
See, that's why I say, like, I know me, I know my mechanisms, and I know, because I love to give myself breaks. So I know all that kind of stuff. But it was the day, so it was Sunday morning, and I'm watching Sunday morning political talk shows because I'm an asshole. So they're finally like, oh, well, I should probably get my day started. And then the news starts going with the Kobe crash. And all of a sudden, well, my little brain, I was like, oh, the details. Like, I want to know. Of just the logistics, not like.
Sure. Did you have a conspiracy theory? I didn't even have one for that.
No, I thought that was pretty, like, pilot was in over his head for 2 seconds and smash. And poor things. Yes, but absolutely. I did go down a wormhole on the JFK Jr. crash.
Really?
Which he kind of did the same thing. Couldn't see.
You think he was trying to kill himself?
No, because his wife and her sister were in the plane, so I don't think he would have taken them with him. But he didn't know he was going down until, oh shit, there's the water. Like he actually crashed it himself without knowing.
I would shoot myself if I even had any idea that the plane was going down. I just don't have like the mental wherewithal to handle that. Like I'd be gotta go.
The number one thing about no drinking, because flying on airplanes, my secret recipe was 3 beers and a hamburger.
I love a hamburger too. I know.
But now I don't know what to.
Have you drank? Have you been in a plane since you stopped drinking?
No, and touring with Margaret was because we'd hang out, in the lobby or whatever before, and I wasn't gonna like slam a beer really fat, or any of that. So because of the touring, that helped me.
You know
because
what?
the whole thing was like, I never wanted to be sober if my plane crashes. I want to be shitting.
Oh, 100%. Whatever you go.
Right.
Oh yeah, totally. Be like,
Yeah.
I can't. I'm doing this as a preventative measure in case
Yeah.
all of these different things happen.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I think in our heads too, we'll picture. Because I remember there was a while ago where I was like, I was gonna stop drinking, but there was this one thing that I had like maybe like 6 months out, and I was like, I can't do that sober. So I was gonna just. I was like, if I'm sober, there's no point because I can't do that sober. So I might as well drink up until it.
Totally.
And I ended up not drinking. And then when that came and went, and it was totally fine.
Is that weird? I will say the one thing, and I think Corona pandemic is also helping me get is because I like to like sex and alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Got super linked. And
Yep.
now that that's gone, I'm like, oh shit. Like that's such a weird, because it's fun, right? It's like, I'm not like, there's not an emotional glitch, but it's like, oh shit, I was enhancing it.
Makes you uninhibited. Same with stand-up, I felt for me. You didn't get that with drinking and didn't make you feel uninhibited?
No, it does because I like I like being slutty. That's fun. But like on stage, what was weird was, I guess the lesson I learned was that I still felt confident and if not even in more control.
That's great.
Because I know me as a performer, the way I look on stage is as desperate as I feel to be like, I just want you know what I mean? Like, come on, this is fun. You know what I mean? Like, don't lose it. Like, I know that that's part of what it is, but because I feel like
I
the
know what you
straight,
mean I know that feeling inside too. Yeah.
but also it's like, because I feel like the straight guy could like turn on me, kick my ass in a second, figuratively, right? Or maybe they could stand up and say something and, oh shit, now I'm not in control of this anymore.
Right.
And part of that melted away. I don't know why, but just
when you were drinking or not drinking?
Not drinking.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It took the like, oh, ooh, what if I get interrupted?
Right.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. And we were playing places like Oklahoma City and Spokane, Washington, and, you know, outside of Houston, Texas, which Houston's conservative, but like, you know, places where they didn't Google Margaret Cho before they went to the Margaret Cho.
Really?
And just a little bit. Because
that's interesting.
Her queer stuff goes over well, of course, but then there's some Trump and political stuff where I would look at the audience and they'd just be all arms crossed.
Right. I was reading an interview you did where someone asked what the toughest place to perform or whatever it was, and you said Vegas. Man, ain't that the truth? What the fuck's up with Vegas? I was going to Vegas a lot. I was like, yeah. I didn't know that was a consensus.
I think it's really important to go there and try stand up.
Oh, it's totally.
And I was opening for Best Selling both times, so she's been so fucking nice to.
Was she doing Jimmy Kimmel's?
Yes, both times.
Okay, because I was going there and doing the Jimmy Kimmel's. I was doing the Cellar. I remember when Jimmy Kimmel's opened up.
So I heard the Cellar is hard. That's what I heard.
Correct. Yes.
Kimmel's is hard, but it has a little bit of the like. There's a little show busyness to it.
Okay.
But being a huge flaming faggot on stage like that, I literally had to tell a man in the front row. I was like, "You can make eye contact with me. It's okay." Like he was this in the front row. I was like, "You can like I had to do that. I had to tell the guy to breathe in the middle of the show. What did the audience do? They sort of laughed because luckily I was like, it doesn't make you gay if you laugh at my jokes. It will make you gay if you laugh at my jokes and then suck dick later tonight. Then talk to your wife. Right. And then, you know, we're all back to normal kind of. Right. But I met, there's a comedian I met there who was opening for Marsha Warfield, which I thought was amazing. And
I don't think I've ever heard of that person. I'm gonna write that name down.
She's Roz from Night Court.
Oh yes, I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, and Skills Hudson was opening for her a whole bunch, and he was working at the Cellar a lot. He was saying you need to come down and like watch. What was your experience like?
So that's interesting that he said, because I guess a lot of times I just would always think something was me. So I didn't know that that other people were like kind of having a similar experience. I was going down there a ton because I was in LA, and then it was easy. And I would do the Cellar in New York, and then I would go, and you stay for a week. Right. It is tough because I don't know what it is. Because also the Cellar in Vegas isn't tourists. It's local people in Vegas. I don't know if they're more conservative, because I've done more conservative places before, but there was a shows in Vegas that's happened more than one time where I don't know, I was like, I feel like I said this on stage. I was like, all right, guys, like, I just feel like you're a dead possum on top of me, or like you're a dead whale on top of me. And like, I don't know what to do. And they just were looking at me and I was like, I'm going to make fun of myself. And I feel like you guys are going to like that. And then I said some like mean things about myself and they're like,
Yeah.
And then I was like, on one of the shows, I was like, you know, there's a toxic sludge coming from your hearts. And, you know, I absorb a lot of energy being on stage.
Yes.
And you guys I feel a sense of evilness. And they didn't, you know, get that, which is fine. And I'm not doing my job at all at that point. Like, this is totally not cool, completely unprofessional. But I also then started, like, I would just talk about being from Maine and do that for 15 minutes. And sometimes it's really fun.
So for me, I am kind of growing out of this, which I guess is good. It's like, I feel the need to be like, we're here, we're queer, not like deal with it, but like, here we're all together sort of thing. And I feel like particularly now everyone's like, nope, you know, not gonna, because I remember I do political jokes because I love politics. And in Texas, my hero is Molly Ivins. She's a political writer. She's dead. But in Texas, the Texas state legislature is a shit show, has been a shit show for generations, right? Like, the attorney generals in Texas have been indicted since the 60s, like every single one of them. So
why?
Because they're all criminal, crack at, like, one of them.
I mean, all of them, year after year, they're just getting indicted.
There's a joke that they were all indicted until one of them wasn't, and that's because his wife shot him.
Yeah, right. She took him out.
So,
she took care of that.
So for me, it's like it's in the air, kind of like you can make fun of Republicans, but you better make fun of Democrats too in Texas. But people they're game a little bit.
Would you have to make fun of Democrats first in Texas before you can make fun of Republicans?
I do, just as a recipe, because they'll see it coming from me. You know what I mean?
I completely agree with that. Totally. You're
they're
like, I got to let you know, I'll get, just so you know, I'm not coming out swinging and doing what you think is going to probably happen. You grew up not in Austin, right?
Correct. I grew up
Fort
in
Worth.
Fort Worth.
Okay.
Yeah. And so but I noticed Trump was such a thing in the campaign and then post-election that, you know, zeitgeist, whatever you want to call it, in Austin, everybody just started inserting a little political humor. And of course you can't not resist, but you can't help it where we are right now. But then I just noticed, okay, so I see all these people doing political humor. I'm like, these fuckers don't know jack shit about policy. But then Trump was such a saturation. I noticed I'd be at the back of the club, and the minute anybody on stage would say his name or just get into that territory, the audience, just their body language would change. They would just kind of like settle or be like, okay, here we go. Like, this is whatever.
Heard it so much.
Yeah, or whatever this person's take is, like, now this is it. And so political humor kind of is now, or commentary, takes on something different. It means something now it's a rant, you know? And so places like Vegas, it's middle America, where people are scared. Like, people are scared of an effeminate gay man. I still believe.
Isn't that weird though, in Vegas though, too? Like, of all the places, of all the things, like, that you would just not think that that's where the judgment would come from.
I think my main thing is always, like, it comes down to a lack of exposure. People aren't exposed to trans people. That's why I don't want them in my bathroom. You know, people don't know a trans person. And that could be their fault because they never tried, you know, whatever.
Right.
And so, and with gayness and with queerness, and from my perspective, two things. I think straight guys across the board don't like being told what to do or overpowered by things that they perceive are weaker than them. Women, gay men, you know what I mean? Like, things that they physically or mentally or DNA can overpower. Like,
I think it's too, they might think that it's like threatening. It makes them less of whatever they feel that they are.
Ding,
I
ding,
understand
ding.
that. I understand that in a thread of that.
Totally. And it comes from I think being a woman, being a queer person, being anything, like, you get guff from straight guys. Like, it just is. And part of I can't laugh at the gay queer person because that compromises what you just said, their perceived strength, masculinity,
they're
Da, 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 da,
relating.
da.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, that's interesting. I've heard gay guy comics talk about that before, but
Mhm.
they didn't quite break it down like that. I see what you're saying.
I don't think they're closet cases. I don't think that's it at
Right,
all.
totally.
I think that they are like, oh shit, I've never been around this, or what
Right.
if I do think it's fun? You know what I mean? Like, you
Right.
gotta waiting tables. You have to, hello, what do you want to drink? You have to even the playing field immediately. Otherwise, this bigot is gonna walk all over you. You know what I mean?
Right. Because then they're in the real position of power. But
'Cause
Adam,
yeah.
but they would do that to the person handling their food?
Oh man, people are so stupid. And I'm not one of those waitresses who like jizzes in your omelet
Right.
or whatever. But like, yeah, people
Said homophobic stuff to you when you're I couldn't. I did the serving for like one summer, but I would fuck up the orders because of the dyslexia, or I can't. Maybe I shouldn't blame the dyslexia. And I wasn't the most sanitary another summer because But so would people say stuff to you that was homophobic while you were serving tables?
Not outright. I've explained this because I think in LA it's such a queerness, gayness is kind of an old story because the culture here has been allowed to exist. And so, and time goes on, so in places like Texas, I try to explain it, and it's where people aren't just like on the street.
Right.
That has happened. Like, from moving vehicles to my face, whatever, moving bed, all kinds of places. I'm sure, everybody has that story, but it's more like, okay, I have 12 tables in my section right now, and I have to say hello to every single one of them. Here's a table of 2 ladies. Hi, ladies, what can I get you? Oh, hi, we'd like this. You go to the table of 2 men. Hi, guys, what can I get you? And they will have this, and there's no eye contact, and they don't look at you. But then the pretty blonde girl who runs the food, guess who gets a 60-second conversation out of these guys?
Right.
And it's not to say that you should be flirting with me too. It's to say that your religion or your state politics or whatever has given you the authority to tell you that you don't have to engage with me.
You don't even have to recognize me as being there.
Kaboom.
Yeah.
And so thusly, kind of when I'm on stage in places like Vegas, I'm like, you're waiting tables. Because there's a way to relate to anybody.
I agree. It takes a lot of emotional energy, though, because sometimes if I wasn't feeling the energy, I'd just be like, I don't want to do this for you guys. Like,
well, also,
who are you guys?
I meant, like, what are we here to do? I mean, we're here to laugh. What the fuck are we here to do? Like, come on.
Right.
I saw Joan Rivers 3 times.
Oh, God, I would have loved to see Joan Rivers.
It was incredible. Like, I always get, like, I just got it.
That's awesome.
The first and the third time were at a theater in Austin, Texas. So it was a beautiful venue. The crowd was just, like, worshiping her, right? So everybody was game, even though at the first show, a lady behind me, after every joke, I heard her go, oh, my God. Oh, my God. Every joke. It was great. But still laughing. The middle time I saw her was in Shreveport, Louisiana at a Diamond Jack casino where people weren't having it. And you had to watch her in her legendary status, like, work and control them and tell them to be quiet. And
were they not there to see her?
I don't think they knew quite, because it's a casino,
right?
It's Vegas, but it's from Shreveport,
right?
All of the above reasons why people go to see a comedy show versus a $40 buffet.
That's why it's so weird, a thing with comedy too, because it's like you're still doing that. There's no point where that ever stops. Where you're not like at some point having a bad show where you're at a casino being like.
And I didn't know that at that point. I was like, what's going on? I took my mom to see it. It was still a like badass great show, but I had just started stand up, and because you
started stand up when you were like, I don't want to be. I remember the quote. You were like, I didn't want to. My bands weren't working out, and I didn't want to be like, oh, he's starting another band.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That was like, I honestly thought that was so humiliating to be like, to try to Facebook, MySpace, my friends and family, and literally at the same time, a friend who was a comedian, was like, you should try stand up. I was like I was humiliated just to be like, I'm 30, none of my creativity has panned out, so to speak. And so an equally low, I'm just as humiliated to try, was stand up. I was like, I've played piano for 30 something years, and I'm
Mm.
equally as embarrassed to tell somebody that I'm still trying as opposed to, and then I didn't tell anyone I started stand up for like a year.
So you had like a little buffer where people didn't know you were doing something.
Yeah, like I didn't tell my friends because they don't go to comedy clubs, and I
Right.
didn't tell my family because they don't live in Austin. So
Right.
I was waiting tables and that.
What kind of bands were you playing piano in?
So I played bass in a blues jazz.
So not just piano.
My little bassist, there she is.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So I played bass in that. I was awful. Our band was bad, and I was probably the worst person.
It happens.
It happens. And then I was in another kind of little poppy band. We were fun. We were cute. And then I was in my favorite was called Show Me Tiger. It was fronted by these two women. They were these like lesbian rappers. And then I was just Mama Cash in the back.
Nice.
Loved it. And then I had my own dog and pony show. So I played,
And what was happening with each one of these bands? Was it just like the band wasn't getting along?
Bands never get along. I'm so like,
it's hard working with people.
It's hard working with people. And then the one thing that seems so egomaniacal, but I think in comedy, whatever, if you're like, you need to be on the same page with the people you're working with, and you need to hash that out day one.
Amen. Because that's working with people. Because working with people is also awesome and how you do stuff, but it's hard when you're working with people in the capacity of a band or a partnership. You have to like really hash stuff out as it comes up, and not put if you put the friendship first, then it will end up ruining everything. Right. And it'll make it so the friendship gets screwed up too, because like there'll be like other resentments there.
It is. I thought about it because I have not dated a lot of people in my life, and I thought about it because at one point I was in 3 bands and they all overlapped, and so that was 2 people in this band, 3 people in this band, and 2 people. And I was like, I was dating 8 people at the same time, but in different cases it was always something different. Like one time we had an opportunity to go to Japan and tour.
That's cool.
Yeah, paid for it and stuff, and it wasn't going to be fancy, but it was just an opportunity. And one of the guys was like, I'm not quitting my restaurant job for this. I was like, well, we're 2 years in a project. Like, what are we doing? You know, those kind of things. So
I hate that guy.
Well, it sounds crazy to sit down and be like, where is this project going to take us? But you really have to put those things out there so you're not surprised in 3 years when someone isn't all in.
Right, because it's also like, hey, I thought you were trying to be in a band and work that waitress job or waiter job so that we could do something with the band. It's not like he was like, oh, I just got into school and I have this other thing. That's like, it's like, but you do that to do this, and now we have a chance to go do this. So like, what the fuck are you doing? Self-sabotaging.
Well, and my heart is with like playing music, which is why I never thought I would be satisfied just making music at home. But there's so much other stuff, just to get to the point where you're either playing on stage or recording, whatever the making of the music is. There's just light years of overhead and things that you have to accomplish. Whereas stand up, you just have to bring your little piece of paper with your little ideas on it. And I'll never forget, it's like my heart is with it. I miss it. I do wish that was something I could do still, but I've, some mixed shows and things like that. Sometimes you open. I had just done a set, and the band at the bar was loading in, and I saw the drummer make the first of like 9 trips to load his shit in. I was like, "Fuck it, no, I'm good. I have I have an 8x11 piece of paper.
That I can just throw out and rewrite, and it's not that big of a deal."
Yeah.
Did you ever think about bringing like a instrument into your stand up?
So I just did for the first time, kind of ever. I started off, actually, the very first stand-up thing I ever did was called Drone Collins, which I thought was a funny drag name.
Took me a second to get it. I'm so bad at puns.
Well, and also that was like my war statement. How dipshit is that? I was like, and that was in the Obama years too, I think. But anyway, so it was
Drone Collins is a good one.
I thought so.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And so what I would do is I was in like half drag. I would just wear like beautiful gowns.
Were you scared to go in drag?
No, because like the first 3-ish times I did stand up and open mic, I did it in heels and a gown.
Oh my God, you were fucking going for it.
There's a video. A friend has video of me, and I'm in this blue thing and fucking heels, and I'm just like screaming.
Wow.
and like ranting at everybody.
Huh?
But I think it was a like, oh, they don't hate me, they hate my. I don't know.
Right. Totally. It's not me. It's Joan Collins.
Yeah, and I don't think I would, if you were coming to see me at like a theater show, if I was like DanielWebb, I don't think I would do that. But you know, I always like looking good in a dress. Who doesn't?
Hey.
Hi. But wait, why the hell am I talking about that?
Because so when you went on stage and you were doing it, you brought up an instrument?
Oh yeah, so I was Joan Collins, and so I would do a 5-minute intro to my song, and then I was like, well, fuck it, I don't need the song, just do the intro. So then I just did a taping for Tribeca Film Fest in Miami.
Yes.
And I was very nervous.
Well, because was it an hour?
An hour.
Doing an hour after we haven't been doing any stand-up feels a little can feel kind of weird.
Well, there was a lot going on because it was supposed to happen in April in New York at a theater.
Right. During Tribeca Film Fest, I'm guessing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so the hour I was going to do then was, you know, the stuff I've been working on forever.
Right.
And then it changed to now we're at the Rose Bowl. Now the audience is in vehicles.
Right.
That some will be, the miking, the hearing of the laughter was going to be piped in through monitors.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool, but not reliable for me.
Okay.
Like in my, what the hell is it going to be like?
And also I would wonder if there was going to be a delay or anything.
All of it, because for me, I go fast. I like to go fast. I like to whip up that kind of energy because audiences have fun with it.
Right.
I have fun with it.
Right.
I think one of my strengths.
It's the tempo that you like to move in.
Yeah. And I was like, well, that's gone. Or I can't anticipate that in this because the audience is disconnected from me and each other.
Right.
So the contagious nature, the group effort.
Yes.
I just couldn't rely on that. So anyway, I was nervous. And then the other thing was I did not feel that authentic coming in with my like old hee-haw, here are my old silly jokes.
Totally.
That look completely out of context. Even given the nature of what the show was going to look like. You know what I mean? Like, I'm playing the Cars. Why?
Right.
Why is he telling jokes about going to Wendy's?
Right.
You know, and so,
what is happening here? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I wrote a new hour.
Oh my God. How did you do that?
I have no idea. I honestly will fucking see if it qualifies as an actual hour.
And you did it, were you working it out on like Zoom shows or how were you working it out?
I went up cold. I had not been.
No way. You were what?
I hadn't been on stage since March the 14th in Oklahoma City.
And you did a new hour.
I did. And
impossible. How did you do it?
I did it. I typed up all my shit and had my little.
Oh my God.
Forgot so much of it, which everybody does.
Even if you did 15 minutes of new stuff after not doing comedy for a long time, even if you did 15 minutes of new stuff and you have been doing comedy a long time, that's a lot of new stuff.
So I did about 45 to 50 minutes. The clock glitched. So I got to like 45 and then I don't know how much more. I don't think I did much more, but because of all of my fears and apprehension.
Sure.
And my main worry was all this space created. I was like this on TV. I was like, you can't punch in laughter. I refuse to have canned laughter.
Oh, really? Oh, I would have been like, drop it in like it's fucking hot. Punching that laughter. It's like the goddamn job.
No, I was like, that's like the ultimate sacrilege other than like stealing jokes or something. I
know.
Because then it was like in my head, I was like, well, fuck it. If they're just going to punch in laughter, I'm just going to say whatever.
Right.
But because I was afraid of that, I demanded that they get a grand piano. And so they parked it on the stage. And so when I was done with my set, I just went, and because I fucking hate funny music, I don't like it. I don't think it's funny. I went and played 5 funny songs and sang
you also
like
wrote
dog
songs.
shit. Oh, I wrote 5 songs.
Wow.
And I can't sing, but I did it anyway. And
how did it feel doing all that new material? Did it feel exhilarating or what did it feel like?
The reason I thought I could do it and not worry about what it felt like was because I knew that the audience, I was like, I can't rely on them to laugh at the shit that I know is funny.
Right.
What if every joke that I've tested on the road and I know works in fucking Spokane, if it doesn't hit there and I'm supposed to yell into the abyss for 59 more minutes on television. Like my brain couldn't do that. So I was like, I can do new stuff and feel the exact same way I would about the shit that works.
Right. Because it's like you're bastardizing the material. If you do stuff that you're like, I know this works, and then it's just gonna potentially be a disaster. I don't want to. It's like I don't want to give my hard work up to that.
And also, it just felt like we're all in this. This is, whether I want it to be or not, it's a time capsule. Just by the way it looks.
Absolutely.
Why are we? What if we're not in cars anymore in a year? Or what if we're all dead in a year? The one joke I forgot. I was like, because I was making reference to the joke. One of the jokes I forgot to tell was, I was like, I mean, I don't even know when the fuck this is gonna come out. We'll probably flash to us like watching it in the camps, and all my jokes are just subtitled in Russian that says "gay hole is bad." Because I just want a gay hole is bad in my special.
Right.
Oh, gay is bad hole. That's
gay is bad. Gay is bad.
Gay is bad hole.
Did you feel good after you were done filming it?
It was so weird. And the no drinking. This was the hardest. That was the hardest day, easily.
I wanted to drink last night, which I hadn't in a long time, but it was because the Thursday show went well. Friday didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, Thursday, I was like, because how many shows did they have you guys run?
What for
the set? Did they have you guys like film it twice? One time.
You got one shot, baby.
Wow. So, man, because I did it, the Thursday one went well, and I was really surprised. I was like, oh wow, and I like did some new stuff, and I was feeling really good. And then Friday, I got flustered, and I messed up something, and then I was like kind of forgetting stuff, and it was like then all of a sudden I started being like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? This is so tone deaf, and then I was just like up there, and then so Saturday night I was like, I want to drink before I go on because I need something to like re-up my feelings of being here, and I romanticized drinking, and I romanticized when I started drinking, and it was so good for a couple years, and then it stopped being good.
Yeah,
but oh my god, I don't know if but then you did that sober. Now you can do anything sober.
It felt that way because it was a huge. I was in the trailer, right, and it was like, I'm not normally nervous for tapings. Those don't you want to get it right. You're nervous, but not like this. This was just such a different thing.
You don't get nervous for tapings? You don't think about like, and this is going to be out there forever?
That puts that, because recording in studios, I'm a one-shot wonder. Every time we went into studio, I'm one take. I don't fuck around, and so I can get in there.
That's great.
It makes me pissed when it doesn't, if I forget things, but the nerve stuff, I can move within there.
You've worked that muscle.
Yeah, I don't know why I like it. But there were so many like learning curves at that show on stage. Like I can hear the production and the monitors being like, because you can hear the people they mic'd the cars. So some of the cars you can hear like, honey, can you get me that? Well, what about these? You can hear them. And so then the production people like, you can hear them in the monitor. We'll turn it down. I'm just up there, doing the thing. But so, like production people don't waste time on like the niceties. Sure. Like you can have a great crew, but there's still like a very business element of
especially with filming. Totally, it's almost like no news is good news, and then it's just, other than that, it just feels cold. So you're like, do they hate me? Am I doing everything wrong?
They don't blow a lot of smoke up your ass, which I like. And again, this is like a remote show. This is not a normal venue. This is at the Rose Bowl. So
how many cars were there?
190.
Damn. Were they nice cars or shitty cars or all different kinds of cars?
Who knows? I have a fate. Whatever it is where you can't recognize people's faces. I have that with cars.
Okay.
I'm that old queen who runs into like the wrong car for Uber like all the time. That's me. And so it was weird because you're on stage, and then when you're done, all the backstage stuff is packed up and gone because they don't need to be there anymore.
Right.
And then the rest of the stuff is they're clearing out the park. And so literally you're like, I just did an hour, and you're alone with like maybe a couple of production people. But you just did it. It was the most job thing ever. It was like, and now I'm going to get my bag and just get in my car.
Right. Yeah. You're not meeting anybody. It must have felt so sterile.
Well, there was, not that I need like other people, whatever, but I have no gauge on
Right.
what I did. I have zero
Well,
gauge.
it's some kind of recognition of that something even happened. So you're like, that just happened,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Correct. And like I'm blessed with like an amazing memory. I can have the worst blackout, horrible alcoholic
that's good.
moments, but I remember everything.
You must not have
Um,
ADHD.
I don't know. I think weed kind of helps with some of that stuff. A little bit, but it's so I can remember moments from even being like whatever, but it's that one performance is really all over the place. I have a blur. It was weird.
When will it come out?
Not till next year. So even more of
Yeah.
the reason why I was like, let's just make this a timestamp,
Yes.
which is not evergreen.
Right. Right. Let us pray.
But the drinky thing was like I had the feeling that I had bombed, and the jury's still out. But because it was like, you know, that feeling where you're like, I don't feel good. Like, what am I doing? Where you're like, what am I doing? And so I wanted to go home and like, nobody has to know that I could slam, 9 beers and that. But instead, I just ate some edibles and went to bed.
Good job.
Like, oh, and I just went to sleep.
Yep. It's supposed to be like, you're supposed to like play it through your head and be like, well, how am I going to feel tomorrow if I do this thing? But it's that feeling of not feeling good. I think, Friday, I went on Indeed and was looking up jobs. So I didn't even know what to look for anymore because I had been out of the workforce of something that's not comedy for like 7 years. Yeah. So I was just looking, or 6 years, but I was just looking up like typing in like comedy, but not stand-up comedy into the job search. And nothing pops up. No,
I have a plan. There's like a restaurant in Santa Barbara. I might like go apply at if all else fails. I do. Well, my plan forever has been, because music, I was like, that's kind of over with. I was like, stand-up very much feels like this is it. Before I have to like seriously get a plan B. But plan B is I'm just going to be a custodian in Iceland. Like,
that's a phenomenal plan B. I think I might adopt that. The second you said that, because I could do that because I can't do the waiting tables because that just has been a problem. I get too confused, distracted. I'd be like, "What are you eating? That looks good." And then like 2 hours later, I'd be eating it too. Like,
well, the other thing is you get to a certain age where it's just about respect, and people like when someone's like, "Can I get more chips and salsa?" You're like, "I'm 38 years old." Like you forget totally that it's the job you signed up for.
Right. Don't talk to me like that.
Yeah, but
and in Iceland they probably treat their janitors pretty nice over there.
Everybody there was kind of on the same level.
You've been there before?
I got to go once.
That's great.
It was a week. Actually, it was a week before I met Obama, and I kind of fell in love with this dude who it was all him, not me. I don't do that, but he kind of swept me off my feet, and promptly dropped me, which is fine. But well, he lives there, I live or whatever.
Right. Sometimes the most romantic ones initially too, then they just like go away and you're like, oh, it was like a thing.
Yeah.
It's like a thing you do.
And I'm such a cold-hearted person that I know that, and I'm like, don't. And I did it. I did anyway. And so I got my heart hurt, my butt hurt, not literally, but I was just all like, that's what you get for loving, you dipshit. And then I met the president. I was like, oh, okay, life goes on.
Yeah, things are pretty cool.
But I did get to go to Iceland, and you better believe I was like, I'm not making fun of homeless people, but I will be homeless here. I don't give a fuck. It's like, I got a good view.
I got my plan B. You haven't had a lot of boyfriends?
No. I think
what was the longest one?
None. Like 0. What? I don't date.
Really? You just haven't wanted it?
Not in literally my 20s, I was kind of, I fly the bisexual flag, even though nobody believes that. And
really?
So
not really that you're bisexual, but not really to people not believing it.
I don't think people believe it ever with anybody, but I think in particular with men, I think
definitely that's true. I love a bisexual. I mean, I connect well with bisexual women because I feel like sometimes with lesbians, I feel restricted, like in the way that I want to express myself sexually. And there's something about bisexuals, women that I really like. And I've seen some of those bisexual women. I mean, no, my girlfriend's a lesbian now, but there's something about the bisexual women that usually they'll have like a preference towards like, oh, like I need this girl where she was like, she was like, I'll sleep with women, but I'll only be in a relationship with men. Or I dated someone where she was like, I'd sleep with men, but I'd only be in a relationship with women. That's when I'm cooking with that type of thing.
And that's exactly what I would always say. It was like, and that's why I never ever even thought to like date a woman, because it was like, I'm not gonna want to like fuck her every day. That's not.
But that's how you feel about anyone you're in a relationship with, too.
Yeah, but like if someone's like now, it's like, well, okay, 9 times out of 10, if it's a dude, well, yeah, okay.
Right.
But it's like I'm not gonna be with someone who.
Oh, I see. You'd have to get in a headspace a little bit for if it's a woman.
Well, it's like it's about the person. I feel like it's just I was never gonna try to like date a woman. And go there. It was like, if I just want to have sex with her, I want to have sex with her.
It's so interesting though, because I feel like you'd have so many more options of women because there's so many more. Like I had a roommate that had only been with women, and she's really feminine, she's really pretty, and then I think at like 36, she's like, I'm gonna start dating men. I was like, oh my god, this is great. There's gonna be so many more options. And you know what happened? The same fucking taste she had in women, she had in men, and she started dating a unemployed improv instructor who had a drinking problem and a girlfriend and like wanted her to support him financially, and then he wasn't interested in her and he did cocaine, and I was like, this guy is such a fucking loser. Like,
and also that's kind of hard to find.
Literally hard to find. And he like didn't have to pay rent because mom got him a studio, but his girlfriend was like, it was like so many things like just where I was like, this guy fucking sucks.
Totally.
And, like he sucks the most. And now that you have so many men that I think you could pick from, but like it just like transferred like people that
in my 20s I was just trying to kind of sleep around a bit and like feel it out, I guess. And I was never part of like a out gay culture at all in Texas, which is small, you know, it's still the stuff, but like I didn't go out to like necessarily gay clubs and things. I worked at a queer bar, which I loved because they were kind of insistent on no labels or all labels, and that kind of a thing. But like here again, the culture has existed for a long time, so there are some permanent archetypes like Los Angeles West Coast specific to be what it is to be a gay man.
You don't see men. I mean, you very rarely hear men talk about being bisexual, which is interesting. I mean, I think if I were a penis man, I think I would maybe be bisexual. No, yeah, I would be. But I would be a top and I want to be fucking a lot of, I'd be wanting to, but it's easier for that. I don't know if that's an offensive thing for me to think, but that's what I'd be into.
Because I always said, so like one of my friends, and this is like very common, is that I have 2 friends actually. One grew up in SF and one is from Austin, Texas. One is rural gay guy, and he's actually been with his man for 30 years, which is adorable.
Are they monogamous? Not to.
No, they are. They're like
they are.
Gays.
What the fuck? See, that's what I'm so curious about because every time someone's like, I want to get married, I'm like, but can there be some clause like every 10 years we get to be like, is it don't ask, don't tell, or what do we do about the monogamy situation?
How do you feel about that? Because I don't
know.
Okay, so
I don't know if it's possible.
I want to date now. I think it's half the grass is greener. I think I'm older. I do want. My brain is looking for that right now.
A relationship can be a wonderful thing, but
it can. But I'm also like, I know me, and I'm like a horny motherfucker, and I also am a jealous son of a bitch. So I don't know. I want to know.
Right.
I just want to know.
The right person probably wouldn't trigger the jealousy.
Well, there's this couple. I call them the Los Feliz daddies, and they whatever they do, they got it working. I've hooked up with them individually and then together a few
times. That's great.
Well, first of all, they're hot as fuck. Like,
and also then if you're busy, they can hang out with each other, so you don't have the pressure of having to be together every night or like do stuff you don't want to do.
I don't mix in a lot of couples because you can you get their dynamic, if it's good or bad. You see the mechanism at play. And you have to, I don't know. I don't want that drama. I don't want to see it. I don't want to, it's like, if you're not feeding me and fucking me every day, I don't want to know why y'all are fighting.
Right. And you don't want one to be like, well, you know what the other one did. You don't want to get started gossip or whatever.
Right. And the Los Feliz daddies they're like, it just works. I don't know what it is. It's like,
great.
And they've been together for 20 something years.
And your friend who's been with a person for 30 years, they're just them and them.
Normal. But so his case, and then my friend who grew up in SF in regards to being with women, they like, my friend in Texas, he was physically ill after he had sex with a woman. And my friend up in SF, he was like, I don't mind everything until I have to go down on a girl. And he's like, that literally makes me like, he can't handle it. And so there's so many levels of like, I think women are hot and gorgeous and beautiful. And da, 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 da. It's just different levels of like, you know, inspiration. But I think gay men fall into the category or even thought process of having to be react to women as though they are like beyond unattractive. I don't want to say repulsed.
No, I know exactly what you mean, and I wonder if it's the same reason, and it's a human condition thing that the straight men will act like they're not into, not connect with a gay man, because it's like, okay, if I'm not me being repulsed by pussy then proves how much I love cock, because it's like or dick or whatever word you want to use, but it's like, well, actually, you can be just as into that other thing by not disliking that thing. But I think that that's what they're trying to maybe get at.
One element of that, and I do think that is an actual factor. When I waited tables, and again, when I was naive and didn't know a whole lot, but I worked downtown and I worked lunch, and so it's, which I love. You get office people, and it's kind of a crash course in like sociology. It's like really like a poor man's course in sociology, because people are with work people, so they have their guards up.
Sure.
And so
they also need to be polite then too.
Correct. Exactly. And so but body language has a huge part to play in just, I can tell when someone's not telling me the whole story. I'm not going to say I can be like, you're a liar, but I can tell when someone's leaving details out of the message they're trying to convey. And one of them, and this is kind of old because again, in Texas, like or maybe not now, this is 15-ish years old.
Right.
But you know, you can't just make a move on a guy.
Right.
Like, on the macro extreme, that's what got Matthew Shepard killed. So,
right.
You know, there are reverbs of
Absolutely.
why you just don't go hit on any man that you think you can.
Right.
Thusly, waiting tables was what exposed me to this. So maybe you have 4 businessmen at a table. You're like, hi, what can I get you to drink? Hi, and they're like, I'll have this, I'll have this. But one of the guys like, I'll have like this. And the eye contact is not breaking, right? So now we're doing this, and it's like, now we're having this conversation. It's like, oh, we are not breaking eye contact. Okay, you're telling me that, okay, I get it.
Right, because this isn't about the lime soda that you're ordering. No. Something else is going on.
And straight guys will bank. They'll deflect because they know, and this might be stereotypical or wrong, but it's like the male mind, the sexually evaluative nature of a male mind of like, just a basic, would I or wouldn't I, right? Something walks in the room, would I fuck it or wouldn't I? That's an element of a male mind. I think it might be more human, less gendered than that.
Right.
But straight guys and all their fucked up, institutionalized everything have to break. And so that's always how I could tell when I was talking to a gay guy who might not be out.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask if they were, because if they might almost do it more if they're not out, because they're trying to let you know that they're like almost like, I wish I could connect with you more instead of just ordering this fucking soda.
Totally, but then the guys know that they're being evaluated and they don't like it. Whereas they fucking evaluate women left, right, center all day and have been able to catcall, vocalize that. Right. Write a show called 2.5 Men based on that whole fucking, you know.
Have you ever had a girlfriend?
When I was like a teenager and stuff.
What do people usually, when you say you're bisexual, is the reaction different between men and women? Are women usually more understanding of it?
I honestly don't. The conversations don't really come up anymore. But when it did, and the reason why, and to answer your question, I think women are just a lot cooler with sexuality to begin with. And
society gives them the space to be bisexual a little bit more.
Correct. Because, and that's a straight male thing, because 2 girls is hot and 2 guys is gross. But, but there is an allowance in there, which is nobody's fault. But what I found in trying to explain, just that, and trying to talk about it, is I find I'm answering questions and explaining more that doesn't benefit me, get me anywhere, save me from weirder questions. You know what I mean? It was like, why am I trying to and thusly label it?
I could see gay people being even more critical of it than straight people.
Well, because you're not being truthful to yourself, or you're not out, or you're
Right.
You know, Margaret Cho has a joke. She goes, she is bisexual, and she goes, "I'm the B in LGBT." She goes, "The B is usually silent." And I'm like, that right there, that says the whole thing.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. I
well,
guess I
watching
didn't. No, I did know she was bisexual. Actually, I did know that.
My favorite is like, okay, so sometimes it's fun to go down like a Ricky Lake YouTube wormhole.
Is she bisexual?
No. But
Oh.
her show in the 90s would be like, "I'm bisexual," and then you'd watch the audience and everybody else just rip them to shreds.
Right.
Because
Jesus Christ, the whipping block.
Well, there's no way that can exist.
Right.
There's everything else around it. It's like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, I only fist black women. Well, that's okay.
Right.
As long as it's, you know, the same gender.
Right. I wonder if you start talking about being bisexual, and I wonder how people would react if you start talking about it on stage. I think that could be like a big thing, because right now it's like things have gone so, I don't know, you really don't see that.
Yeah. I don't live the life right now of it though. And I'm not like chasing it. I just as an age thing.
And also the life of it wouldn't even need to mean going out with men and then going out with women. It would just be you doing whatever the hell you do. Like, you don't need to go, you know what I mean? But people are like, well, people are like, "Oh, you're bisexual? You better prove it." So you're one man, then two women, then one man, then two women. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, it doesn't need to be a constant. I remember this guy, Phil, and it was after I was way out, but we were really drunk and he kissed me. And I was so mad. And I remember I was so drunk, I kissed him back and I pushed him away. And then I was like, "What the hell, Phil?" But I remember being like, "I'm going to have to, you know how many fucking girls I'm going to have sex with to subsidize that kiss?" Like that weird sexuality math of like, I just thought of it was saying that. But it's like, what? Like, you could be bisexual and still be with a guy or be with a girl for like a long period of time. Well, I think it'd be awesome to be bisexual.
It's weird because what was going on with me, and at least in my 20s, was I never identified as anything. And so part of that is trying to figure out if you should be. And so rather than just sailing through and being like, "This is what I'm experiencing," you're like, "Oh, is it this, is it this, is it this, is it this," is that? And going through that process, that doesn't have to happen. You know what I mean? It was like, who told me I needed to be either? Right. And so then it was just kind of like, I not give up, but I'm just done. It's like, I'm gonna, whatever kind of crosses my path, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But who am I explaining this to? Sure. And again, it was like, I'm in my 30s now. It's like, let's fuck. If you want to if you want to move in and let's talk about dinner, you know, you got to really knock my socks off, because I'm totally busy. Right. Yeah. Are you dating at all with Corona? So I've broken quarantine 3 times. Okay. It was pretty much a mistake every time, because it's slim pickings right now. I am actually very proud of gay men for not hooking up. It's great. Because I was like, if AIDS couldn't stop us, we don't give a shit about the flu. And so it is slim pickings, which is good. I was an idiot and kind of walked down a path with a guy I knew was gonna, he's like a player and whatever. And I knew I was kind of signing myself up for round 2. And stupidly was like, this is kind of when I was like also not going to drink anymore, because I was, I kind of got played a bit. And, that was, I kind of had like rebound Corona sex was like not good, because
it is what it is.
It is what it is. So that also was part of the alcohol and sex thing. I was like, this isn't as much fun when I'm not shit hammered. Right.
It takes a while to be, with sex, it's hard to even remember, but it takes a while to just like start feeling like, because you're like, oh, did I even like this as much as I thought I did? Or was I just like also being drunk too?
It's both. I definitely I like both. I'm just trying to figure out which it's one without the other. That's all. It's like, because I don't know. It's really interesting. It's like, it's my, now I feel like I can't just be fun.
That's and it's so not true, but that's what your mind tells you when you're not drinking, because your mind's trying to trick you into drinking again almost. How old were you the first time you drank?
Oh, like 16, 17, I think 15. It? Yes.
What were you doing?
It was in the daytime. It was in the summer. My friends were already at this person's, so it was Chris Bradsell's house. And I went over there. They needed did I drive? I guess I had to be 16.
Mm.
And they had been drinking, some parents, whatever. And I think it was gin. I had like, they made me a cocktail.
Did you like it? Were you like,
I loved being drunk.
yeah, like right away?
I loved
Me too.
vodka and rum. We would drink Johnny Martinez's dad's rum. And then for some reason, we could always get our hands on vodka. And I would like talk to the stars. I loved drinking. I mean, I love it. It's fun. It's super fun.
That first time I remember being like, I never want to be sober again. Like, this is the best.
Well, like playing music is so fun. With just like two or, dexterity gets involved.
Right.
But like just a beer or two in is like a lovely enhancement, like all of that.
That's the kicker, the beer or two in. Then you cut to 2 a.m. when you've got like half a pizza and like beer is everywhere, and then it's like, what the fuck am I doing?
And that was just it. It was like, okay, I got kind of my heart stomped on, but it was my fault. So then I had this weird rebound sex and then like a Zoom show. And so I was just wasted. And then the day after
God, on a Zoom show?
Yeah.
Oh, so God. And then you close the computer like, what the fuck? What the fuck am I doing?
So it was like the next day, I was like, you literally have all the time in the world.
Right.
I was like, there's not one son of a bitch who's asking you to do anything or be anywhere. And this is the best you can do.
Right.
I was like, that's fucking pathetic. I was like, you're letting some dude walk all over you that you knew was going to happen.
Right.
You are drinking yourself into oblivion alone.
Right.
Like there's nobody
doing
here.
Zoom. Yeah.
That's
what scares me about drinking. If I start drinking during the pandemic, because I'm like, that's what that is really, really scary.
I do feel this way about anything that you quit. And I like, cause I can't smoke cigarettes again till the end. Cause once I do, I'm back.
You're smoking.
I'm back. Yeah. But it's like, if you do, just enjoy it. You know what I mean? If you have to have a bev, like I'm one of those, it's like I've been kidnapped and I finally like jumped through the window, stole the car, and I'm driving away from the thing. And I just want to go 100 miles an hour forever until I feel that I've created distance. And then I can go 90 miles an hour. But I never want to take away from that distance.
Totally.
And so that is always my, like, cigarettes was that. I knew when I was back, I was like, if I smoke one cigarette, I'm back in that house.
Right.
I just gave him the car keys and was like, I'm back.
That's a good, scary way to look at it. I'm back. Abuse me. Where can people find you online, and where can they watch your special when it comes out, even if it is next year?
Tribeca Film Fest is going to release it, so
cool.
They want to put it, yeah.
That'll be cool. And maybe they'll release it sooner because places are going to be like pushing to be releasing content. I feel.
I would love for it just because of the shit that I say would be a lot more relevant now. Right. One joke I say, I don't care when this special comes out. Mike Pence might not still be vice president, but he'll still be gay. Right. Because I have to tell a Mike Pence's gay joke. But you can find me on Instagram at Toyota Lopez, and then everything else, my website, Twitter, everything is the DanielWebb.
The DanielWebb. You really think Mike Pence is gay? Like 100%?
I think
something's up. If he's not gay, I pray he's gay, and I'm not picking up on some other kind of vibe. If he's not gay, he's into that kind of porn where he dresses up like a baby, which I am not judging at all. I'm just picking up a premonition, and the level of me not judging that. If it's it's consenting adults, you do what you need to do. But he's into some kind of baby, goo goo gaga, pacifier in the mouth and the butt porn.
Two things just real quick. The age-old, every bully, every person who ever anything to me is, and I can prove it, they're gay. Husbands, lisps, drag, all of them. They all grew up to be fabulous. And then second, one of my favorite stories ever, I'll be really fast, but it deals with people who are like religiously told that they can't do stuff. I get it, but it's very scary. I understand. But when it gets to the gay thing, that is just too much of a red flag. Ergo, there's this, and you can look up his autopsy. I love it. It was this priest. He's this pastor up in Oklahoma or Kansas, one or the other. And he's like Jerry Falwell. He was friends with Falwell, Swaggart, George W. Bush, all these sons of bitches, all these evangelical borns again. Right. He was married, father of I think 3 or 4 kids, and they found him dead in his own home with a diving rubber suit on, like a scuba suit, and then on top of that another scuba suit with a hood, with a rubber with the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then ligatures tied behind him. He was on his knees, ligatures on his wrists and his boots on his feet. And right, so he suffocated himself. Right, he died by extreme autoerotic asphyxiation. However, the last line of his autopsy reads, "with a condom wrapped dildo inserted in the anus."
They had to keep that in his fucking. They had to.
He's gay,
right? They had to keep that in his autopsy too. Like one of his wife couldn't go in there and white that out. Like God bless that autopsy report.
She's been
person.
trying to white that out for years.
She's like trying to smudge it.
Well, let's just say this: Mike Pence is bisexual.
Definitely. Do you think, or something's up for sure? Do you think Jerry Falwell's gay? No,
I
don't think so either.
He's one of those
he's crazy. He's
brainwash monsters. Yeah.
I don't think Jerry Falwell's gay. I
think Rick Perry is super light in the loafers.
Really?
There's lots of rumors in Texas.
I need to look more about Rick. What about Ted Cruz? I never got a gay vibe from Ted Cruz.
He's not, but what he is, and this is kind of common, is he has that. His dad is an actual preacher. His dad is like an evangelical preacher. So anything you look at Ted Cruz, there's a lot of Republicans who do this, but he talks like a preacher. And I have jokes about it, but if you watch the way he has that kind of thing.
Well, it pulls you in because a lot of preachers need to be captivating. Like I love Cedric the Entertainer. I love, but he talks almost like a preacher in the best sense of it to me. Chris Rock kind of does it too.
The cadence is something that, because I'm obsessed with the church channel. I watch all of them.
I watch that sometimes too.
I'm mega.
I find it comforting. Yeah, I think mega churches
channel. Do you watch
I haven't seen that one. Whatever one I watched was like I used to watch it all the time. I'll just kind of I wouldn't even know what it's just like the one that's like constantly playing churches. I'll put it on in the background. But there's one I used to watch when I was in high school and I would fall asleep to it sometimes. My dad, this is no descriptor. There was like I'm literally trying to describe this. It's going to sound like a joke. There was like an old white guy on it. I don't remember. Yeah. That's all I remember. But, it was an old white guy that used to be everywhere too. He was like,
it's not Benny. It's not Jan and Paul Crouch. It's not Robert Tilton.
Nope.
It's not. Who died? There's Jimmy
Swagger.
A
little face. But my dad would be like, "Why are you watching this?" And I was like, "I don't know." He would be sitting down. He wasn't like doing. He would like be having like little like church talks, and he'd be like,
he's just like at a desk or something.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah, the old man.
Yes, him. Yes, I used to watch him.
So he's still on TV. I don't know if he's still live, but they still air him. So what I was going to say, in Los Angeles, there's so many on just normal TV. There's so many like Asian channels here that we don't have that in Texas. As we have more like Spanish channels,
right?
And so, but what they have are crazy Christian evangelical church services, right? But the guy speaking in whatever native language is still Southern fire and brimstone.
Really?
Oh yeah, and it happens. There's English, speak like British people.
Sure.
So the cadence of how to minister, the sonic shape of how you're relaying stuff, and the template of that is a thing that people adopt and use. In the same way politicians sound the same. Right. You look it up because you can learn English from someone with a Spanish accent.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the manner with which you minister is cookie cutter in sonically manipulative ways. Let's say.
And Ted Cruz. I guess I haven't watched too many clips of Ted Cruz talking.
He talks like a priest, other than the fact that watch his concession speech when he concedes to Trump getting the nomination. And
I forgot he even fucking ran for president. I forgot Ted Cruz even ran.
You will, honestly, I say this 100% truth. I still think it would be worse with Ted Cruz versus Trump. 100%.
I think it would 100%. I totally agree. I think Ted Cruz would be something. I mean, Ted Cruz would be, because the economy, he would try to turn the country into a church.
Also, well, exactly. And you watch his concession speech, and I just remember listening to it, being like, I cannot believe he's a scary person.
Yeah, that he even got kind of far is like, Did you ever think about working in politics?
I My hero is Molly Ivins. I would love
Right.
to kind of write
Google
politics. She's so good. Please, please, please. There's a documentary about her you can watch. I think it's on Hulu. Her books, it doesn't matter who she's talking about. And I will say this. I know I'm so long-winded. One of her books is called Molly Ivins Can't Say That, Can She? And a lot of the articles are from the 80s and the 90s. And so you're like, who are these politicians? What are these issues? They're Dallas-centric or Texas-centric. But guess what? They're the exact same political arguments that they're still fucking chucking our way. And we're out. But, and I can't wax enough about her. But
It's
the reason
the patterns of everything too. It helps you understand the economy when you look at these type of patterns too. You go, oh my God, the mortgages come up and go down, and this goes up and goes down. And I feel like if you can understand that, then you'd be able to do the stock market really well. I don't understand it, but I feel like if you could, it'd be good.
One of the reasons I love stand-up, and out of all the things you can do in comedy, the reason I love stand-up, when I was in Iceland and explaining the political nature of Texas and being queer, they were like, well, what are you doing about it? Like my friends I made, they're like, what are you going to do? I was like, well, I'm on stage.
Right.
But one of the reasons I say that without being a rant or anything like that is because, like I've already said, to be like, hi, I'm a queer rep. This is it. And I look at Molly Ivins because she wrote short articles. She's very funny. Something like if you put Dan Quayle's brain in a bumblebee, that bee would fly backwards, right? Just very simple little things like that. But then she has these brilliant, succinct ways, and it's in the late 80s. It's Dallas, Texas, and the bigoted Dallas people are not giving funding to the local gay chapter so that they can get medicine and research for AIDS during Reagan's "we don't give a shit about these people." And in her article about how the Dallas City Council is not even giving any of them budget, and the quote, their bigoted reason was because they have poor leadership and they're wasting the money we've already given them. Molly Ivins, realizing the comprehensive nature of the situation, said, it's really hard to maintain good leadership when the leadership keep dying. And that's nestled in all these just little of like very funny, poignant political messages. And so that's the only kind of working in politics I would ever.
Have you ever written her?
Or
is she dead?
She's dead, but I waited tables on her.
What?
I met her. Look, I just got it.
Were you like, oh my God, I love you, or did you just keep it cool?
I kept it totally cool.
Oh my
until
God.
the end. I took
good. Well played.
Once she paid, I took the check, and I was like, I just want you to know that you're one of my heroes. I gave her this long-winded thing about how she does the thing at the end of every article where it's like she just nails every angle, and then boom, she's like, you might think you know who the villain is, and then oh no, you're part of the problem too. That's not exactly what I said, but it was something to that effect. And she closed the book she was reading. She folded her arms like that, and she goes, that is one of the nicest compliments I've ever received. And that was it. So yeah, I got to meet her a couple times.
That's awesome.
She's the shit. So yeah, that's the only kind of political stuff I want to do is like her.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing the show. I really appreciate it. That was my conversation
Thanks
with
for
Daniel
having
Webb.
me.
Again, I'm Emma Willmann. Thank you so much for being here. You can reach out to me anytime at emmasbunker@gmail.com. That's the email. And, I don't like the name of the show. So if you're thinking, the name of the show is kind of whack, yeah, I'm with you. But I'm not good at coming up with names. It is what it is, Maybe we'll all grow to love it. But you can reach out to me, emmasbunker@gmail.com. Hit me up on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. I started learning how to pop lock and drop it. Ooh, I couldn't even get that lie out. I couldn't even say pop lock and drop it. I couldn't even finish that. I'm learning how to pop lock. I'm just on TikTok posting fucking stand-up clips. That's what I'm doing. And you're welcome. Because I don't know what else I would do on there. Maybe I'll do the Macarena or something. Maybe people would pay me not to do. Maybe people would pay me not to dance. Maybe that's a slippery slope. Getting paid to not do stuff sounds threatening. All right, my ADD pills have worn off. This has been another episode. Rate and review. Next week we've got Dulce Sloan, one of the correspondents on the Daily Show. Or maybe not next week. Maybe I'll do. If I get 10 new reviews, I will release an extra episode this week. It's all free. All you gotta do is just boop, 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 rate and review. Thank you so much for your time.
Europeans are so much more attractive than Americans, right? Yeah. Oh, excuse me, all you patriots. I'm sorry. You put any American next to any European, and we all look like we're from Mississippi, all right? You know what I'm talking about? It's like, it's true. I've been to Europe, all right? I went there. I was in Amsterdam. Everybody working security at the airport in Amsterdam just looked like some chiseled ex-military sex machine. And then we landed in the United States. Everybody working security in the USA looked like a pile of lasagna. And that's